and welcome to the next session of AgenaTrader software trainings as well as question and answers. Today we will continue with the topic we had last week about the condition escort. Our signal builder editor, which allows to drag and drop signals without programming knowledge. We will discuss further market screening signals, this time a little bit more advanced. I have planned to show you crossover signals when a price crosses over the EMA 34 indicator, for example, when a price crosses the pivot points, when price reaches pivot point, resistance lines or support lines, and when we have a breakout of a 52 weeks high or low. And this I will show you these practical examples how you can achieve such signals and scan them. And as mentioned again, we will talk about the AgenaTrader functions, simple calculation, maybe advanced calculations, simple mode as well as the advanced mode. My name is Daniel. I'm with this company since about 4 years, working with customers, and I know quite well how what are the difficulties at the beginning with a trading software, and that's why we create all these videos and all these live webinars, so you have a chance to watch how it's done and to ask questions if you need more assistance. Our timeline, again, quite short. Like last time, we will just simply discuss where to find the condition escort, what is it, then we'll walk over the features, what it supports, and then I will show you the practical examples. The disclaimer, of course, everything I show here is not a financial advice, it's just for training and educational purpose to understand and learn the software. If you trade live on the markets, you do this on your own risk. Alright, then let's go to AgenaTrader. Okay. What you see here again is simply some kind of workspace you can build with AgenaTrader. It's quite customized, so you can build whatever you would like to achieve here. I will just open yeah, here we go. Okay, so what you see here is a list, a scanner here on the left side, which has a few future symbols, not so much. In a 4-range chart, for example, from a data feed, AgenaTrader in this case, could be another data feed we are supporting or broker. And the condition escort it can be found in strategy handling on the top here, condition escort, as well as in the AT++ manager. And we open it, enlarge it, and it's called the basic do symbols. So the condition escort basically, when you start without the categories like this one, you can start creating a new strategy where you fill up the condition name, its long or short condition, a description, a category, or you select a category. Category is created upon writing into this text. And you can decide it's an entry signal, exit signal, if it is non-signal at all, but just a building block to create additional conditions, and what kind of chart visualization you want to have, like an arrow in the chart, like a different colored bar in the chart, like a text, or which color in the scanner should appear. On the left side again here, in this area, all the elements are placed, like series means data series, open, high, low, close, and so on. You can access these prices. Indicators, premium indicators, you can additionally buy from us. Scripted indicators, you can buy them or script it yourself. Conditions are the conditions you build. Basically, you can see there's quite a lot I have here. And scripted conditions, again, something you can buy or script by yourself. Value, again, we can have a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Boolean, true or false. We can code inside it, use a string and so on. And we have the simple and advanced calculations, which allows to do some calculations inside your condition, like open, minus, low, and so on and so forth. All right, I will just walk through the basic symbols here, and I will also show, I think this BB stands for Bollinger Band, RSI indicator. There's a condition I built on that one. But let's start with this EMA 34 crossover condition. So this condition, as you can see, is quite simple. It's just two lines here, left and right side. On the left side they have the close price of the current candle, current close candle of course, and on the right side I took the indicator from indicators right here, EMA. I adjusted the period to 34 and that's it. In the middle right here you have the possibility then to set this comparison tool, and in this case CR-B2 means crosses below in the last 2 bars. I can say last 1 bar, 3 bars by changing the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's just try to build this from scratch basically. So I'm going back to Condition Escort, and let's say I want to name it like close below EMA 34 underline 2 for example. It's let's say it's a short condition. I can write some description if I want. I could add it to a category. I won't do it at the moment, but you can do it if you want. It's an entry signal for short, for example. I want to have a red arrow, should be normal, not small, and that's pretty much it. Maybe I'm going to have another color in my scanner. And once I'm here, I can start then going to, let's say, series, and say, okay, the close and the indicator EMA right here. So I'm really taking it, left mouse click, drag and drop it to the right side, and once I selected it right here at the bottom, I can change the parameters, like changing the period. Alright, so now I have access to this middle part again, and here I can access now crosses above, so the price crosses up something or crosses below. So we take this cross below, and as you see, you can now choose how many bars in the back in the history this is happening. So you can say the condition is still valid if this happens in the last 3 or 4 bars, and I can select up and down whatever I choose here. And that's basically it, and that's basically my condition, a simple crossover when the close price crosses below the EMA 34, then I will want to receive a signal. I click apply and it will be saved, and if you don't choose a category, it lands here in no category, and as you can see, this is my condition. So I'm going back to the chart, indicators right here, and look for conditions. No categories somewhere. Here, first one. Close below. And now I can see there are some signals, and it's showing me the arrows and stuff like that. So I will also add the EMA indicator so I can verify this. And as you can see here, it crosses it below, I'm getting a signal. Here it crosses it below, I'm getting a signal here as well. And here we go. Again, same thing, it crosses the EMA 34 from up above it to below it. And that's when I'm getting this kind of signal. So you can see with very simple parameters you can start creating the signals from very simple ones to more and more complex ones. Maybe there's another thing I'd like to show you for crossover signals. Like we have one let's say signal here in the MACD crossover, MACD crossover long and short. As you can see, this is again very simple. Here you have the MACD indicator, standard settings is smaller than 0, and the second line says again MACD indicator, same parameters, and this is crossing above in the last one bar the average line. So I have here the default line right here. This is the MACD line, and it crosses the average line and when above. And when this happens, I want to have a long signal, and the short signals I want to have when I'm above 0 and when the default, the MACD line, crosses below the average line. So this is how you create it, and you're just drag and dropping the indicators to the right position, and this one here is a value, so this is a number, so you just drag and drop it down, and then you can start changing the number. If you have not access here, you just simply click away and back, and then it will work. So you can change it to 1 or leave it at 0 as default, like I want to have it right here. So with this very simple condition, again drag and drop, no programming language, I can now, let's see, adding the MACD indicator and the crossover long and short. And let me remove the other stuff. And as you will see right here, there's even some text. Every time the average line, the green, the MACD line, the green one, crosses above the average line, I'm getting a signal. Here again, and here again, and for short it's the other way around. When it crosses below, I'm getting the short signals. Also here, it crosses below, and so on and so forth. And this is how you can access like indicators or oscillators and create a condition upon it. And AgenaTrader will show it to you in the chart or scan it for you, and that's pretty much it. So when you want to scan it, you go to this symbol right here, add analyzer, say in which time frame, let's say 4 ranges. I have to now go to, let's say, standard session for the moment, but let's adjust the standard session right here in strategy handling, setup escort. Let's go to standard. You can have a lot of sessions if you want, and I can now, let's say, enable the signals I want to have in my scan, and EMA, but let's go with this ones. So it doesn't show a signal right now, but if a signal would appear, you would see it then in the scanner. So it signals, alarms you when something is true according to your condition, and you can really focus on the signals and don't have to search the charts anymore. This allows you to semi-automate your trading or to fully automate your trading if you want this. And yeah, let's go on with additional signals. It's always practicing is very important. Again, condition escort here in strategy handling. And my basics right here. And there's another one with the EMA, quite simple. And I have added here a condition which says, okay, please check when this is happening if there is an unusual high volume. And last time we discussed this condition, how this unusual high volume condition is created. And once you create a condition, you can take it from here. For example, and this is my unusual high volume condition, so I just have to drag it down again. And if I reuse a condition as a building block, I have to say is equal 1, and 1 is again the number right here. So equal 1 means that this condition is not true, because 1 means there is a signal and 0 means there is no signal. That's why if you reuse existing conditions, you have to just take it from the conditions and then say it's equal 1. Then it will say, then it says that when this condition is also true, the signal is true. And if you enter here condition, your condition is equal 0, it means that this signal will only be true if your condition is not true at the moment. So you can exclude basically conditions from your signals, that if you don't want something to happen when this conditions happens, otherwise you don't want to buy or sell, then you can say this when this condition must be equal 0, and then it means that it can only be true when this condition is not happening. Alright, so this is basically the EMA crossover signals, including an additional building block and additional condition which is checking for the volume. So pretty much the same I just showed you before. Cross below pivot points. Pivot points is something a lot of people use, and we have this pivot point indicator as well, and we have access to different data series, different outputs. We can access the pivot point, we can access the resistance levels 1 to 4 and the support levels 1 to 4. And this always gives me a price, of course, and I can use this price for my condition. So in this condition I want to check when the close price crosses below, this is my short condition, and when it crosses below the pivot point indicator, basically with the pivot point, then I want to have a signal. I could use here, instead of the pivot point, I could say I want to have a different output, like it crosses below the support line 1, where I'm expecting that it goes down to support line 2 or 3 or something like that. So really you just have to simply select what kind of price you want to add in. So the second one is just a long condition, which means the close price crosses above the pivot point, and then I have here, I'm getting a signal again. Very important with the pivot points here, you have to choose the time frame, which must be 1 day, because as you know, your pivot points are basically calculated on a daily basis, so you have to select the time frame right here. And the range is day. You can change it because this is the calculation mode, if it's day on intraday data, weeks and stuff like that. And we even have the modes, the different ones like Classic, Floor, Woody, Camarilla, Fibonacci. So this is also up to you which kind of calculation method you're using for the pivot point calculation itself. And here the range is more on what kind of data the pivot point is then calculated on. So again, drag and drop the close price from the series right here, close, just take it down and leave it, and then you can start accessing it. I'm deleting it now again, and the same thing right here, indicators, pivot points right here, drag and drop it to the right side, and then you can start manipulating the parameters and use it in a condition. I already done that, so I can just go to this one, and like I said, here in this one I choose 1 day, I choose my mode and the range, and I choose the output value, which is the pivot point itself. Alright, and like before, I'm using the cross above and the last 3 candles. Let's check it out if the signal has some sense or if it is working. So I'm again going here in the indicator dialog, choosing my pivot point, checking if this is also, I will just choose a day, and yeah, the method here, floor, is also fine, day is also fine, so this is quite nice. And let's check out conditions, basics 2, and then I can resize the window a little bit, and it's these 2 conditions. And okay, it's a range chart, so maybe we don't see the pivot point so good, but basically you have the pivot point right here, and you always see now a signal when the price is above, let's say, the pivot point. I mean, it's a little bit bad, maybe you have to change to regular time frame to see it a little bit better. Well, let me just check if I can. No, this should be fine. But like I said, gives me a signal when it crosses below the pivot point and when it crosses above the pivot point. And here it gives me this kind of signals. Here it's now it's way better. Of course, I cannot check historical signals. I always have to check current signals because I don't have it right here. But here the day must have started. Let me find the daybreak lines. So here the day started, and then I can check if my condition is not true. And here it crosses below it and cross over the pivot point. Basically, I mean, it's not so easy because the price is always above it, so it gives me always the signal, but at least you can see how it reaches the areas and then it shows a signal or not. And there's another indicator I made. I think this might be the better one, or a signal for price at pivot point, resistance lines, or S1 line. And well, it gives me one signal in the history, and it's not giving me a signal here at the moment, but I think it's more the real-time signal, because this would be a signal. Yeah, probably I have to rework this condition a little bit. Pivot point indicator is not that easy to work with, but still possible to create some signals on it. Alright, let's see what else do we have. Price at, let us check close, is bigger or equal pivot point R1. Remove the day here. I had to remove the day. This was my mistake. So now you see the signal, it crosses above the R2 line, and I'm getting a signal as long as it's done, and if it crosses down, basically the signal is gone. And I don't have a signal here for the S1 line because it's not in the it's not near that, but we can check here it were again a signal when it hits these points. So let's check out the signal again, how it worked. Basically what my mistake was, I really don't have to add the day. So again, pivot points, but no time frame to be mentioned right here. Everything else was the same. Also for this crossing over, I simply have to remove the day, and then the signal seems to work like I have planned it. Alright. And this is very simple condition about pivot points, like closing price is bigger or equal. I chose in this case it's bigger or equal the bigger pivot point resistance line 1, and the other one is just checking for the support line 1, and this time it's smaller or equal, and then it gives a signal. And the other were these crossover signals, where you see when something crosses over these pivot points. We can now also add these two more indicators to see conditions, to see if this is now also fine. Here we go. And now we see the signal right here when it crosses above the pivot point line, here again when it came back, but also when it came down, also right here. So I can really find out very quickly when the prices cross it above pivot point or below it, or reaches some resistance or support lines. And as you can see right here, that the support lines or resistance lines, that they work. Yeah, they seem to work quite well. And I'm in a 5-minute chart, so you can also expect that the 5-minute candles work basically in the futures markets, even though you can also try to use this one in the range charts which I had before. Let me just try to see if this is also now working fine with 4 ranges. And as you can see, same here, I'm getting the signals whenever my condition is true. And this is how it basically works. And this is what we wanted to have. Okay. If there are questions out there, feel free to write something down and I will try to explain it. Some more signals. Again, back to the condition escort. And we have here then now, for example, this 52 period high breakout. This is basically a condition I built on the last webinar last week. So again, condition basics, and as you can see, I have here this new 52 period high or low, and I'm reusing this one with equal 1, like I mentioned before, and I'm also checking for unusual high volume, also created last week right here, also equal 1. So this condition doesn't has new parameters, it is just simply reusing existing conditions. So I use this basics here as building blocks to build something bigger, more complex, and I would suggest to everyone who tries that to start with small building blocks like I'm doing it, and then you reusing these building blocks to bigger, more complex conditions. Why? Because then you can, if there is some error in this condition, you have some mistake in it, it's easy to check these smaller parts than the whole construct. And if you make a good description right here in each and every condition, you know what this building block is doing, and you can immediately find out where the error might be. So like I said, I'm reusing these conditions which I built last week. There is a recording online on our YouTube channel. Okay, back to the chart again, removing my old stuff. So I'm using now the Donchian channel to give me these highs and lows. I'm using the time frame week, and I'm using 52, and now I will have the Donchian channel, but it's not in the range chart, it seems. Let me check out the 1 hour chart. Let's check out the 1 day chart. This might be the best. Okay, so now you see the Donchian channel, which focuses on highs and lows, and from the last 52 weeks. And now I can start adding this breakout condition. Basics 2, breakout high and low. Double click it and it will be loaded in the center. And let's check out what we see here. Here we see there is a breakout right here, which is this little breakout here in the top. And basically it's also having a high volume, so we can also add like the volume indicator to find out if this is true. Let's add volume, and this Volmar allows me to now 1, 2, I guess it's 3, because I can now check right here. I can make it smaller so I have more charting space, and this one shows me now the volume and the volume moving average. And now I can see here this condition is true because it's a breakout and the volume is above this average volume. Basically there is some multiplication and some calculation we did in the last webinar. And now I can verify my signal again. There is a small breakout with high volume. Again, here there is a breakout with higher volume, even though it went down in the opposite direction afterwards. And that's pretty much it. How to check for historical highs and lows, for historical high and low volume, or for current low. Of course, this is also working with real-time data, and you can find some entry signals, screening signals based on these parameters. Okay, what we have left, the Bollinger Bands. Maybe this is something again which might be interesting. This is also a strategy which is used in the markets for sure. Condition Escort. And let's just take this one, BB RSI long. So it uses the Bollinger Bands, the RSI indicator, and also reversal bars in this case. So this condition is quite simple. I use the low price, which must be smaller or equal the Bollinger Band lower band. So I'm again choosing the Bollinger Band from the indicators right here, Bollinger Bands, and then add it here on the right side and select the lower band basically, which I can do when I'm right here. The second idea is the RSI. You can also check it out. The RSI indicator is here, and I will not change anything, so I could use different periods, moving period, and the RSI or the average line, but I just use standard default settings, and the RSI must be smaller than 30. And very important, you have to switch here from simple to advanced. If you do it, you can use then AND or XOR relations and brackets. And I have to choose AND, and then I'm adding a reversal bar green bar, a reversal bar red bar with a bracket opening and closing, and both are conditions again, so it's equal 1 and equal 1. Why? Because when the price hits a low, so when the low touches or is below the Bollinger lower band and the RSI is smaller than 30, and either a red or green reversal bar for a long direction is true, then I want to have a signal. So this is the idea behind it. And now I'm adding the indicator, I'm adding the Bollinger Bands, I'm adding the RSI indicator, and I'm searching for my conditions, and this is the long and the short condition. And let's just find out let's just verify if this is true what I just said. And as you can see here, this is my signal, and I can also see it in the chart. And if I zoom in, you can see that the price is below the Bollinger Band, and this also is a reversal bar according to the parameters I set. And now it gives me a long condition. As you can see, then a little bit afterward it went down again. It created a floor right here, and then it started moving up again. So it's a quite nice, simple but quite nice conditions, which gives some good results right here. Here we have something again for short. Again, reversal bar outside the upper Bollinger Band this time. The RSI is above 70, it even was above 80 right then, so you could also say that the RSI, the condition should check for our RSI parameters that are above 80, and then I could probably get in right here if I find the signal in the right moment, and probably this one will work out. Let's see. Again, here there was something for short, it didn't work out. This one also not so much, it corrected, but again went in the same direction. A very important thing is to always find out where the market is moving in a long-term perspective. So if you know that the market is moving up in a long-term perspective, then you probably should focus on long setups. Of course, you could do counter trend trading and have some very short time in the markets as well, but as you can see, this one would have worked out with, let's say, not the best risk management, but still in the parameters, and again you could search hundreds and thousands of markets for the signals and then look with your eyes on a manual approach what are the good ones, what are the bad ones, and based on that you could make a more complex condition, a much easier condition, really up to you. The condition escort allows you to really forget about programming, start creating signals, and simply doing this by drag and drop, because a lot of traders have the problem, they have ideas when they want to enter the market, but they lack programming. A lot of them, and then they have to ask someone and pay thousands of euros for programming a signal, programming a strategy. In AgenaTrader you can do it without programming language yourself, which means you create your signal, you create your strategy simply by drag and drop or with click and select, because the next step you do when you have a signal, you scan it. So you will go to the setup escort, and in the setup escort you have your sessions. The standard session is always on start, so we will have it, but here you can create different sessions by just typing in a new name, add session, and then you can, in this session, everything you select right here, you activate, will be scanned if you choose so. And if I go, for example, for my Bollinger signals, these two, and go configuration, I can now add to the signals a trading strategy, like different initial stop, maybe a target or something like that. If I want, I can even choose a trailing stop, which automatically changes the stop position and price, and I do this for long, I do it for short, and now I have a signal built as trading strategy assigned with stop loss and take profit. And if I go now here and let's say add a new analyzer in the 5 minutes chart or in the 1 day chart, could be as well, and I created something called new session and I go for it, and whenever there is a signal it will appear, you will see it. You can even notify yourself by enabling the sound alerts. You have to also enable the sound alerts, in this case in the setup escort, for your signal, and then you will even have a sound when your signal appears. So here we go, new session, parameters, selecting the signal, and then selecting a signal sound, some alert wave for example, and whenever the signal now happens you will have an acoustic sound alert happening, and you will be notified visually and with sound. You can also enable email, you can enable or connect the mobile app with AgenaTrader, which informs you when signals are happening and stuff like that. So quite fancy right here. Okay, let's sum up what we learned today. We learned what is the condition escort, where can I find it. So the condition escort is a signal editor, which is basically allows you to create signals without programming knowledge, simply by click and select, drag and drop. We created crossover signals based on the EMA indicator, crossover signals based on the pivot point indicator, a signal when the price reaches a pivot point resistance or support line, and a breakout on the 52 weeks high or low. When this is happening, we will also get a signal if we have unusual high volume. We talked a little bit about simple mode and advanced mode. Simple mode allows you to simply add in your parameters. Advanced mode allows you to add brackets, opening and closing, and it also allows you to add AND or XOR relations. And simple calculation, advanced calculation, like I simply mentioned, it allows you to even calculate inside your condition to get to use different indicator prices, different data series prices, and reach some other price you want to choose. So quite good stuff. Condition Escort, and I would recommend that you also watch part 1, which was last week. It's in our YouTube channel, and when you started with part 1 you can switch over to part 2. It's both. Part 1 is about 50 minutes, 1 hour. This one we almost finished, so 45 minutes, so not so much time wasted right here for creating your own signals and trading strategies. Okay, that's pretty much it from my part. We can check if we have more signals in the 5-minute chart, for example. Here there would be a good long signal, right? This would be a great opportunity, very low risk I could have taken here, and would be right in. This not so good. As you can see, no signal is perfect. That's why you have to test them and keep developing them. And if you want to keep developing stuff, you probably need to program the stuff or use something we have called Condition Escort for drag and drop your conditions and stuff. Alright, that's my topic for this webinar. I hope you learned something, enjoyed it. The recording will be on our YouTube channel, and I will see you next week. We will have and you have sent out a new topic for next week as well, where we will think about, I'm not sure what the next topic is, but we will send out an email, or you can, if you just sign up for this, if you did sign up for this webinar, you will get a reminder when the next webinar is happening. Alright then, enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, and I see you next time. Goodbye.